Tim Duncan has been silent for years. The big fundamental, the five-time champion, the greatest power forward of all time, walked away from the game and rarely looked back. But now he's broken his silence. In a rare, revealing interview, Duncan spoke about LeBron James's legacy, and what he said has the NBA world picking sides. The debate isn't just about rings anymore. It's about respect, rivalry, and the quiet greatness that Duncan represents. This is the inside story of the interview that has fans arguing like never before. The setting was a quiet studio in San Antonio, the kind of place where Tim Duncan feels comfortable. No bright lights, no screaming crowds, just a basketball hoop and a microphone. The interviewer, a veteran journalist who had covered Duncan's entire career, knew that this was a rare opportunity. Duncan rarely does interviews. He rarely speaks about his own legacy, let alone anyone else's. Tim, I have to ask, where does LeBron James rank in the history of the game? Duncan leaned back. He looked at the ceiling. He took a long pause, the kind of pause that makes producers nervous. Tim, I have to ask, the interviewer began, where does LeBron James rank in the history of the game? Duncan leaned back. He looked at the ceiling. He took a long pause, the kind of pause that makes producers nervous. LeBron is one of the greatest ever, he finally said, his voice low and measured. There's no debating that. What he's done, the longevity, the consistency, the ability to carry teams to the finals year after year, it's incredible. I don't think people fully appreciate what he's accomplished because they're so focused on what he hasn't done. But then Duncan added something that sparked the debate. That said, I think the way we talk about greatness has changed. When I played, we didn't care about stats. We didn't care about load management. We cared about winning, and we did it 5 times. The interviewer leaned in. Are you saying LeBron hasn't won enough? Duncan shook his head. I'm not saying that. 4 championships is incredible. Most players would kill for 1. But when you're having a conversation about the greatest of all time, the greatest, you have to look at what that player did when everything was on the line. And I've never seen anyone do what Tim Duncan did. Not LeBron, not Kobe, not anyone. Duncan's words spread like wildfire. Subscribe to see how the NBA world and LeBron's camp responded to the big fundamentals' surprising take. The interview continued, and Duncan offered a deeper perspective on his own career and how it compared to LeBron's. I was lucky, Duncan said. I was drafted into a winning organization. I had David Robinson as a mentor. I had Greg Popovich as a coach. I had a system that was built to last. LeBron never had that. He had to create his own winning culture everywhere he went. That's harder. That's way harder. But Duncan also pointed to his own consistency. I never missed the playoffs, not once. In 19 seasons, we were always in the mix. LeBron has missed the playoffs. He's missed them more than once. And that matters when you're talking about greatness. The goal is to compete every year, not just when you have the right teammates. Duncan's point about consistency resonated with many fans. LeBron has been to 10 finals, more than Duncan, but he has also missed the playoffs entirely in 4 seasons. Duncan, by contrast, never missed the postseason in his entire career. I'm not saying I'm better than LeBron. I'm saying we're different. He's a force of nature. I'm a system. Both can be effective. Both can win, but they're not the same. When asked about LeBron's move to Los Angeles, Duncan was diplomatic. He wanted a new challenge. He wanted to build something new. I respect that. I stayed in one place my whole career, but that doesn't mean everyone has to. Different players have different paths. The interviewer pressed further. Do you think LeBron made the right choice in leaving Cleveland twice? Duncan paused. I don't judge other people's choices. I don't know what it's like to be LeBron James. I don't know the pressure he faces. I don't know the expectations. I just know that he's a great player, and he's done great things. That's enough for me. Duncan's measured responses only added fuel to the fire. Subscribe to see how the NBA world and LeBron's camp reacted to the big fundamentals comments. Within hours of the interview airing, the basketball world was in chaos. Social media exploded. Former players weighed in. Current stars were asked for their reactions. The debate about LeBron's legacy and Duncan's place in it had never been more intense. Charles Barkley was characteristically blunt. "Tim Duncan is one of the greatest ever. He's top 5 in my book, but he's wrong about LeBron," Barkley said on TNT. "LeBron has carried teams that had no business being in the finals. He took the 2007 Cavaliers to the championship round. That team was terrible. Tim never had to do that. He always had help." Shaquille O'Neal offered a more measured take. "I loved him. I love LeBron. They're both top 10 all time. But the way Tim played, the consistency, the fundamentals, the winning, it's underappreciated," Shaq said. "People forget how good he was because he wasn't flashy. He just won, and he won a lot." Kevin Garnett, Tim's longtime rival, weighed in. "Tim is right about one thing. He never missed the playoffs. That's incredible. That's a testament to his leadership, his consistency, his ability to elevate everyone around him. LeBron has missed the playoffs, that's a fact, but does that make Tim better? I don't know. I'm not sure." Stephen A. Smith was, as usual, somewhere in the middle. "Tim Duncan is a legend. LeBron James is a legend. They're different kinds of legends. Why do we have to pit them against each other?" Smith said on ESPN. But fans weren't interested in nuance. They wanted a winner. "Duncan has 5 rings. LeBron has 4. End of discussion," one user posted. "LeBron has 10 finals appearances. Duncan has 6. LeBron has more points, more assists, more rebounds, more everything. The only thing Duncan has is rings, and he played with better teams." The debate raged, and at the center of it all sat Tim Duncan, quiet as ever, watching the chaos he had created. The NBA world was divided, but the most important response, LeBron's to answer, was still to come. Subscribe to see how the King answered the big fundamentals challenge. LeBron James has spent 23 years learning to handle criticism, but when Tim Duncan, a fellow all-time great, a 5-time champion, a man who knows what it takes to win, speaks, it's different. The next day, after a Lakers practice, LeBron was asked about Duncan's comments. His response was measured, but his eyes told a different story. "I've got nothing but respect for Tim. He's one of the greatest to ever play. He's a champion, he's a winner, and I appreciate his perspective." He paused, choosing his next words carefully. "But I also think people forget how good those Spurs teams were. Tim had Pop, one of the greatest coaches ever. He had David Robinson, a Hall of Famer. He had Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, 2 more Hall of Famers. He had a system that was built for him. I never had that. I had to build my own system everywhere I went." LeBron then addressed Duncan's point about consistency. "I've been to 10 finals. 10. That's more than Tim. That's more than almost anyone in history. And yeah, I've missed the playoffs, but I've also carried teams that had no business being in the postseason to the finals. That's not a failure. That's a testament to what I can do." He added, "I'm not trying to take anything away from Tim. He's great. He's one of the best. But I'm great too, and I don't need anyone to validate that." LeBron's response was classy, defiant, and carefully worded. He didn't attack Duncan. He didn't diminish his accomplishments. He simply refused to be diminished. LeBron had responded, but the debate was far from over. Subscribe to see the final chapter and whether the GOAT conversation will ever be settled. Tim Duncan spoke on LeBron James's legacy. He started a huge debate among NBA fans, and in the end, both sides remained entrenched. For Duncan's defenders, the argument is simple. 5 rings, never missed the playoffs, the anchor of a dynasty that dominated for 2 decades. That's greatness. That's consistency. That's a career that few can match. For LeBron's defenders, the argument is equally simple. 10 finals appearances, the all-time scoring record, an unprecedented combination of longevity and excellence. That's greatness too. That's a different kind of greatness, but greatness nonetheless. Both are valid, both are impressive, but they're different, and that's why the debate will never end. Tim Duncan spoke.
The NBA world reacted, fans argued, legends weighed in, but in the end, nothing changed. Duncan is still one of the greatest ever, LeBron is still one of the greatest ever, and the debate about who is better will continue for generations. Is Tim Duncan right about LeBron, or is the king being unfairly judged? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Subscribe for more stories that go beyond the headlines.